Today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. Seems we're soft all over the pitch.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. To be honest with you, I don't really know what time it is, what time zone I'm in. Where I am? Well, I know where I am. I'm back home, nice and safe, first and foremost. Thank you for everyone asking, first and foremost. It's good to be back home. Welcome to the Redfellas on a Sunday night. You're all very welcome. We're here to discuss mainly the aftermath of the Champions League final, which resulted in Real Madrid beating Liverpool 1-0. We're also here to discuss the scenes around the ground. We're also here to discuss the Mane breaking news. We've got so much to discuss. I've got my cup of tea. People asking, why are we late? Where is everyone? I had to make myself a cup of tea and a bit of chocolate to keep me going. Yep, Keith's got it as well. And to join me to talk about so many things, I've got pretty much the A team. Conroy, how are you, my friend? How's things?
Yes, not very good to be honest. But do you know what? In my life, yes. Like looking at, I'm very fortunate. Not going to say that, but I'm a bit deflated is the best mood to be honest, guys. Just I find a lot of positives from today. Definitely go into that, but in general, it's for a guy who can be quite optimistic. It's a hard, well, maybe a bit of both, but today it's been a hard one. I'm not going to lie. Last night to me, we'll get into it, but I just feel such a missed opportunity. That's overriding the theme in my head right now. I know we'll get into it. I'll kind of expand on that, but yeah, just a bit. I don't know. It's a hard one. I'm like deflated, a bit gutted still, but obviously from what you saw today with the parade and the atmosphere, I can't be so negative that it's like we've got a great team. So it's a mixture of emotions. That's the best way to put it. Probably should have started with that, to be honest.
There's nearly 300 of you in here to hear us discuss. We're a family, all of us, the community. It's always good to talk in a situation like this, aftermath like this, and it's always good to have people joining us. But it's even better when you smash a like. So if you could smash a like for me, that'd be amazing. Keith, you was out there with me, but you didn't get a ticket to the game. You was in the fan zone. But just generally, before we get into the details, how are you feeling? When did you get back?
I got back 10 minutes ago. So I'm a bit croaky in the voice. So the smooth voice is a bit sketchy. I would say hungover.
You still sound good, fucker.
No,
you still sound good.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, hungover. That's the first one because it was a late night. But do you know what? To be honest, just I feel a bit buzzing. To be honest, you know why? Because literally since I've come back from Paris, all I've had is all my mates talk about Liverpool over and over and all everyone's talking about is my club. And if you're not being spoken about, then you're not a top dog. It's as simple as that. So I feel like even though their attempts has been to try and troll me, all it's asserted to me even more is just how big of an impact our season has had on everybody this season. And ultimately proud of all the fans that were able to show up today at the parade. Shout out to you guys, man. If you guys, those that were at the game, those that stayed at home, shout out you guys what you showed. That seeing those images today just put a smile back on my face.
Yeah, you're spot on, Keith. You're spot on as usual. People ask me how can you do a show today? I've done pretty much a vlog on Twitter while the time I was there, so I'm feeling a bit worse for wear. But when you see the scenes today at the parade, Steve, how can you not be motivated, inspired, rejuvenated? Literally less than 24 hours later. How are you, my friend? First and foremost, I hope you're keeping well. And Just how
Back
you
in
feeling?
about 30 minutes from the parade. I've only been home half an hour. My eyes are stinging. There's that much pyro there. It's insane. You couldn't even see the bus from the pyro. What I will say is, at the end of the game, gutted, flat, all of those things. Said to my wife, I don't know if I've got the motivation to go tomorrow. Then seeing the rival fans ridicule what they don't understand, I said to my wife, we will be going tomorrow. And it took me all the 30 seconds when I got there to listen to a chorus of You'll Never Walk Alone from people sitting on top of lampposts and road signs and bus stops to absolutely know that it was the right thing to do. And if I ever needed a reminder of how much I love this football club and its fan base, and I don't need one, I got it today. So for me, very, very therapeutic to do that this afternoon, this evening, tonight with the fans and seeing the players at the end of a 3-hour parade. They're still buzzing on the bus. They've still got energy to give to the fans. So despite all of the things that we've spoken about and all of the adversity we've been through in the game itself, I'm in a good place with regards how I feel about the club and its fan base at the moment. So yeah, it's great. It feels better than it should at this stage, mate. But I think today's given me all of that at the parade.
Absolutely. Got a super chat, first super chat of the night. Raphael Sean says, cheer up, fellas. I'm a United fan, but I rooted for you 100%. Appreciate that. That has cheered us up. Man United fan rooting for us. If that can't cheer you up, then nothing will. But yeah, look, so many talking points, so many issues to talk about, so many debates, so many possible controversies. And I think I may do another show in midweek, in depth, talking about my personal experience about the whole trip, about the way everything was handled, so as to not make it A, reactionary, and B, kind of excuse as to how the game panned out, as an excuse why we lost the Champions League or the game per se. So I want to keep that separate as an experience of what happened, a first-hand experience. Keith was at the fan zone, I was at the fan zone, and also I was at the ground. So we may touch upon it, we may talk about it. Steve and Conroy, feel free to, I'm not saying let's not talk about it, feel free to give your opinions on it whenever you want, however you want. But if people are sort of maybe wondering why I may not give a personal in-depth experience, I may do a later show in the week talking about that. We like to keep it sort of, try to focus on the football side of things and the season, etc., etc. Conroy, going into the game, Champions League final, we spoke about it that we're not playing your run-of-the-mill team. You're probably playing the greatest club in the world, and their history in the Champions League, success, the record in Champions League suggests so. But I still felt confident. I still felt as we were the favourites going into this game. Was you feeling the same, or by the time the game started, you were 50-50 how this was going to go? How did you feel?
You know, to be honest, Chris, no, I did feel confident. I felt if Thiago and Fabinho could start, we could control spells, because we're obviously against Modric and Kroos, who, even though, I'd say Kroos is maybe not got as much legs anymore, he's still, like, passing wise, they're outstanding. Casemiro as well. But I did feel confident. I feel like our attack had the edge, especially against their defence. I'm not saying it's a bad defence by any means. I just felt like we had the opportunity. So I was still quite confident, mate. And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not going to go to the ending of the debate, but I felt like what you saw would back that up, if you know what I mean. It wasn't surprised by the way the game, how we performed. So before watching it, I was quite confident we could get the job done.
Keith, there was a bit of drama again, just like before the League Cup final, I believe. Was it the FA Cup final? Which one was Thiago? League. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Bit of controversy and drama just before the League Cup final, like the League Cup final, in terms of Thiago. Slight concern. I noticed it straight away, but I didn't have reception to tweet it, that Thiago was training separately away from the team, which caused concern amongst the fan base around us, as the fans around at the stadium. Was you guys aware of what's going on? Were the commentators relaying that there's an issue? And obviously, that's not the best of start straight away, right? In terms of, oh shit, do we have to make another last second change to the lineup?
Yeah, well, for me anyway.
Sorry, Conrad or me?
I went to Keith, but go on.
It's just because you asked about the commentators. That was all, because I wasn't sure if Keith heard that. No, it's fine. On you go, Keith. Sorry, mate.
Oh yeah. No. I was gonna say the reason why I did notice it and I knew what was going on was because basically we had the screen and they were showing all the build up to the game, and I was just like, I wonder how Cane Plu do it, right? So obviously it's different commentators, different pundits, right? So Sami Nasri was the pundit. Florence Cinnamon on goal was on pitch side. He had a moment with Kenny Dalglish. That was quite nice. And so yeah, I did see that the Thiago had the conversation with Keita. Couldn't hear what they were saying, but I knew what was the case straight away. You know, Thiago is unfortunately the man of niggles. He's unfortunately he is like that film was is it Samuel Jackson about Mr. Glass? Was it Bruce Willis?
Yeah, Unbreakable.
I feel like he's got all this talent in the world, but he really is like a niggle or two away. And it's you can tell he's at that age that he knows that if there's something is not quite right, he can't do what he needs to do, and therefore would rather not risk it, making it worse. Trying to do maybe younger, he probably would have pushed himself further to do it. So I was a bit concerned because ultimately he is our number one choice. The Fabinho Thiago pivot has been one of the best things to come out of this season, and the fact that was at jeopardy really got me sweating. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Steve. Before I come to Steve, actually, guys, there's going to be absolutely loads of trolling and banter in the chat. Liverpool fans, take it. It's banter. Opposition fans, we absolutely respect and appreciate you coming on and listening to the Liverpool show on a Sunday. As long as you keep it respectful and just banter us, we're absolutely fine. I asked the mods not to block banter, but I absolutely asked the mods to block any stupidity, any racist abuse, any personal abuse, anything like that. Steve, that was concerning. We think Thiago's in, Thiago's out, but it makes me nervous straight away because I'm thinking he can't be 100% just for the fact that there's an issue, there is concern. It so turns out that he's gonna start, but straight away I'm on the back foot. Should I have been? Was you? Because I'm thinking Fabinho's returning from a hamstring injury, which is always, you don't know until you full throttle. Thiago's got a niggle, and it's not 100% because of the fact that a lot of people think he's out. Salah's just returning from a groin injury, which can be irritating as well. And Virgil, that's your four best players.
Yeah.
Not fully 100%. For me, that was concerning. And the start showed it for me, whereas I thought passive. I thought we would be far more aggressive in our press. I thought we would be far more attack-minded and try to go for the throat. But I thought we were passive, and I thought maybe that was a result of it. I don't know how you felt, but I'm asking your opinion now.
I think you're right. Thiago was an Achilles, if memory serves me correctly. You don't get to put the shirt on the warm up and go and do that if you've got an Achilles injury, because that goes all the way up the back of your leg. So in terms of that injury, for him to get to the stage where he's out there for the warm up, he obviously felt something.
Mm-hmm.
What you see with the team, you're right, we were passive. I think we come to the end of what's in the tank in terms of, fuel to go on and fight on and carry on and be that aggressive pressing monster and the counter pressing monster that we've been before. You're quite right about Fabinho. Both Fabinho and Thiago would have grown in confidence the more the game went on in terms of how their injury stands up against the rigors of playing football. I think Virgil was fine. I think Virgil probably could have played the last game prior to this one, but they kept him out for common sense reasons. And I just think Mo Salah was raring to go. I thought I did. You are right. We didn't hit the straps in terms of. I thought we would press really early and create lots of chances. And what I'd kind of hoped for was we'd get the same types of opportunities that both City and Chelsea enjoyed in their first half of their games, respectively. Where if both of them had been at the races in terms of taking their chances, that game would have been over within one of the 4 halves that you get from a two-legged affair. But we just didn't do it, did we? And I agree with Conroy's comments before we came on that, earlier, that we it feels like a missed opportunity. I think my gut feeling during the game was this isn't us. And I think it was because of the things you've just said. 4 players that have had injuries, 2 of them definitely feeling their way into the game. Thiago wasn't himself. He wasn't hitting 60-yard balls where you stretch the leg. And if you remember the injury, it was when he overhit a pass to Trent, and then he looked up at the bench as if to say, I've done something. So I think he was playing within himself. But he was still the right option at 70% to go with him over Naby, in my opinion, because of what he gives us. But you're quite right. We were passive, and I totally agree with everything you just said.
Just a couple of super chats before we get Conroy to answer one of my hard-hitting questions. Chris, did you get into the stadium safely? Appreciate the Arif. Yes, I did, my friend. Thank you very much. I actually got from the fan zone. I left nice and early. Wise old me. I got to the stadium at 6 p.m. 9 p.m. kickoff 3 hours before. I got into the stadium at 8:30 into my seat, 2.5 hours. And as I said, I'll go into it more depth another time, but I appreciate you asking. Promo sends in a super chat. Big up you, man, for the therapy provided this season. Sadio leaving good for both us and him. Leaves as a legend. No room for sentiment. Squad revamp now. We will get into that, Promo. Appreciate your supporters all throughout the season as well. Conroy, apart from that issue, I'm happy with the lineup. Konate gets the nod. I don't know what we thought, but Konate gets the nod, which is fine. And I know we may get into performances, but again, almost a legendary performance from the kid again. One thing I wanted to ask you, Joe, very briefly before we get into the game as well was the front three. Do you remember we discussed? I said maybe because all night I was thinking, is there a one last swan song for
Last Dance?
For Last Dance for the old front three? Or was you okay with the lineup and everything was good to go as far as you're concerned? And Thiago, or would you have not risked Thiago in a game like this where you needed to be intense? Maybe a fully fit Naby would have been better than a 70% Thiago, because I thought it was 70%.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
Honestly, I think, I'm not going to lie, people like to change with hindsight. I think 85% of people would have went with Thiago. 100%, 85%. I think most people would have went. That's like Anchorman there. But genuinely, look at it this way. I think you chance it with Thiago. You've got 5 subs, and I'll be honest, he wasn't at his best. I didn't think he was terrible. I thought it worked the first half. I still thought we had a bit of control, to be honest. I didn't think we were exceptional, but I think I personally think all game we had enough to score against them. That was just our biggest problem was that. I know we're going to get into the toothlessness later, Grizz. But for me, Keita, bear in mind, Keita played against Madrid last year as well, right? And I know we didn't have his full fit squad, but that might have been his worst performance ever. I think he was we had Kabak and Phillips, I think, got taken off at half-time in that game. Mm-hmm. And then I think you look at Milner, I think you go with Thiago, because the most important thing was control. I think you roll the dice on Thiago. I think most managers would. I think you live and die by your sword, and I still think that was the right decision. I think we can look at it now, but ultimately I don't think maybe second half or midfield age, we could have made the subs earlier. I know we'll talk about that, but on the basis of that first half, I don't actually think it was the wrong decision.
Yeah, fair enough. I get it. I absolutely get it. Keith, as Conroy and Steve have spoken about, and I thought at the time, I thought we controlled it. I'm not sure, and I want your opinion. I'm not sure if it was planned from Ancelotti to let us have as much ball as we did, or was it because we were so good at controlling it? I've got a suspicion that it was planned from Ancelotti, because maybe he's watched us, and he did allude to it afterwards that it was easier to play against Liverpool because we know their game plan is so set in stone. I didn't like him saying that, but it's a fact that we do play the way we play because we're so good at A, and B, Klopp believes in his players. I just thought Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson were too passive in their passing, and we controlled it for the sake of controlling it, but I don't think we were aggressive enough. And I have a suspicion that Ancelotti planned it that way, as opposed to we dominating and controlling it. I don't know how you saw it.
Klopp has a kryptonite, and that kryptonite at the moment is Italian football managers. Make no mistake about it. Ancelotti had the upper hand on Jurgen Klopp last season. Antonio Conte seems to have the upper hand on Klopp a lot. He had it when he was at Chelsea just before he left. And when you think that Ancelotti has played in the English game and he knows a tactic that works against these teams over and over and over again, because the likes of Sean Dyche has been successful against Jurgen Klopp with it. The likes of Sam Allardyce has been successful with Jurgen Klopp with it at various different points. That low 2 banks of 4, let them have the ball. Because what were we doing with the ball? Little 1-2s in between, like slow passes between Thiago and Fabinho and Henderson. We were in their half, but in terms of the movement of the ball, it was nothing like penetrative or quick. So it was almost like Ancelotti was more than happy for us to have the ball. More than happy for us to have the ball, because he knew that the minute Toni Kroos or Casemiro get the ball, and Kroos did this the first time when he got that ball, he played the diagonal. And if we remember, when we lost against Madrid, it was the diagonal that killed us in the first time, and Vinicius runs through between Trent and Kabak and scores and they go 1-0 up. So that is what he was looking for, and that for me is a product of all the aforementioned. I personally said it for many times. The best way to play against Liverpool is to have midfielders who are able to play the first time pass, and forwards that are not just quick. It's not just about pace. It's about having that first touch, awareness, a little bit of flair to really turn, look, and start to cause some problems, or be able to make runs in to catch the offside trap. Because Klopp lives and dies by the offside trap. I have an argument about the goal later about the offside trap. But all planned, in my opinion. And Ancelotti has the players to do it, because you're looking at to one extent, we went in as the favourites. Absolutely agree with that. But we're not at the favourites against Spurs. We're favourites against, an £80 million goalkeeper. We're favourites against the £60 million Champions League winning, Bundesliga winning, Champions League winners all over the shop. So we're playing against teams that are at the highest elitist level to perform a tactic to a T. So that is why I always said it. I was hoping we would get Manchester City in the final. I genuinely was, because I think that is the type of team where we can really, they will want the ball and we could have pressured them into it. When we got Madrid, that's when I was a bit like, because I know that is how they were going to come into this game. And it works. It works really well in situations like where Sadio Mane's goal doesn't go in. In another football match, he takes that shot, it hits the post, it bounces off the back of Courtois' head, and it goes in, and it's 1-0. And then all of a sudden, Ancelotti's team, but then Real Madrid have to try and come out and do what they did against Chelsea and against City, etc.
What's going on here?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I could just see us.
What's happened here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Has it come up on the...
What's going on? Conroy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's happened?
The screen's changed.
Well done.
Are you guys all on screen? What's going on here?
Yeah,
Bit of
no,
technical-
it
hear you,
is.
Chris. We can hear you.
Okay, but are you guys all on screen?
No.
No. Okay, Conroy, any idea what's going on here?
2 seconds. Let's try this. I'm not really sure why that's came up. Hold on. Why the hell is that came up? Overlay is...
But I guess we can keep speaking while
Yeah,
Conroy.
of course. Yeah, it's a
there you
podcast.
go.
Old school podcast.
Okay.
Could have gone. Yeah, no, as I said, for me, that was It was the plan all along, and a plan like that comes together when certain situations, luck doesn't go on your side.
Sorry about the technical issues. Conway, maybe can check that out.
Yeah, I'll sort this in the background.
What's going on? Just a couple of super chats I need to get through. Omar sends in a very generous super chat and says, Ben and I would just like to say a huge thank you to yourself, Chris, for such a big opportunity. We appreciate you so much. So glad you are home and safe and sound. Much love, Ben and Ohms. You didn't need to say all that. Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you two and everyone else on my channel this season. I was going to come to that at the end of the show and thank every contributor for their contribution, but because you said in such a generous super chat, much love and much respect to you both. And of course, each one of you guys that are with me tonight, and of course, the many that aren't with me tonight, but have been absolutely invaluable. Appreciate, respect, and love you all. Thank you very much. Solo2519 says, Hala Madrid, Losapol, go home. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you. So yeah, technical difficulties. I don't know if Conroy's working in the back. But Steve, did you anticipate the kind of start that was made? Did you anticipate Madrid being so pragmatic? Ancelotti teams usually are. He was criticized for a similar approach in the semi-finals against PSG, but changed his approach against Chelsea, but then went back to type against us. Even Man City they attacked, but obviously got caught. Did the Man City game play in his mind, and he thought Liverpool have got the personnel and the tools to do this very similar thing to us? I want to stay in the game, because my biggest fear was the longer they stay in the game, the more confidence they will get from it.
I share that opinion. The longer it was close, the grow into the game and get more confidence. In the same way that against City, even though we're looking at it thinking there's 2 minutes to go, they only need one opportunity to get back in the tie. And ultimately, they got that. There's an old adage in football: don't run when you don't have to. When you've got old centre midfielders who are good on the ball, then why would you have Luka Modric chase a game? You just wouldn't do it, would you? So it's a great tactical decision to sit in, be pragmatic, to drop the fullbacks into the spaces where our wide guys want to run into. That's the reason why Carvajal had success against Diaz, because he sat in the space where Diaz wanted to be and he was aggressive. In terms of the point that Keith makes, absolutely spot on. The switch or the diagonal ball, however you choose to classify it, is always on against Liverpool, because often we're left with a back two on a high line where we say, go on, put the ball in behind us because we're quicker than you. And if you get it wrong, VAR will get you. So the switch is always on against Liverpool. And in Modric and Kroos in particular, you have two exponents, really good exponents of a ball. So able to hit in that area. And you've only got to hit the area. It doesn't have to be ridiculously precise. As long as you can backspin the ball and stop it going out. Vinicius has got a very good chance of getting on the end of it. So it was a deliberate ploy, really well referenced the quarterfinal last year when we lost, when both the centre-backs tried to engage the ball too far up the pitch. And as a result of that, Trent got ribboned by the media, but that's an agenda and that's not really valid. So in terms of Madrid's tactics, didn't really surprise me. I just wanted more blood and thunder from us. I just wanted us to play English football as much as we could, because I genuinely believe if we'd done that, we'd worked up a head of steam. We'd have been too physical and too powerful for them. But we kind of stuttered when we recognised their approach, and we didn't have any difference on the pitch.
See, it was like we didn't know. We worked our way into spaces,
yeah,
but then didn't know how to progress from there. We got so many times I saw Fabinho with literally 10 meters circumference of space.
Yeah,
how the hell in a Champions League final you get that much space? A, right, and not do anything with it, and B, it indicates to me it's purely a tactic from the opposition. Thiago, Fabinho, 10 meters of space, like all around them, and not progressing. It was very frustrating.
It was, and it happens that 10 meters of space is given because Casemiro engaged Mane through the centre. Carvajal and Mende engaged, Diaz and Salah respectively. So Fabinho's got the ball. He's looking up, seeing a picture in front of him, and there's nothing. There's nothing for him to do with that ball. So what does he do? Does he carry the ball 10 yards further forward, and then the Liverpool fans all start shouting "shoot," which is ridiculous, but it's what we do. That they tactically in the first half were absolutely spot on in how they nullified where we want to use the ball in the width. We've not seen Diaz come up against an opponent like Carvajal yet. It's okay because he will learn from that and he'll develop from that. He'll understand that the more he plays in the side, the more teams are going to legislate for him and plan for what he's got. But they're champions of the Spanish league. They're not a bad side. They've beaten Chelsea. They've beaten Manchester City. They've not got through the easy route. They've got through doing it the hard way. Only a fool would have underestimated them going into the game. We were favourites. I agree with what Conroy said before. We were favourites purely because we thought English, the way we play English football-wise, would be too much for them. They never allowed us to play our game. And we'll get onto this in the centre of midfield. I tweeted at halftime, we have got to pick up the pace in midfield. We've got to do things quickly. And I will mention one player, but I'm sure we'll do this in a bit more detail. I absolutely adore Jordan Henderson and all the things that he brings to the football club as a captain. But you will not open up a defence when you need 4 touches of a football before you can get it out of your feet and use it. We were crying out for a Xabi Alonso type character or a Gerrard last night that can get hold of a ball whilst it's moving and manipulate it. And play the ball into feet so quickly that the opposition don't have a chance to set. And our midfield didn't, and I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit, but I don't think we did that particularly well at all last night. And I think that's why Madrid got their tactics right. We helped them.
Bassett sends in a super chat. He says, big up, lads. We go again. We absolutely do. Dybala to replace Mane? I wouldn't have thought so, my friend. Big Steve's in the building. Of course, my good friend. He says, forget it. And then he sends in a blue heart, which is absolutely lovely of him to send me a heart because he loves me so much. But we forgot the forget it when you won the title, Steve. So shut up. But I'll deal with Steve later. Conroy.
Can I just add to that, Grizz, quickly, just on Steve's point, if that's okay? It's just a quick one. It's just, I've got to be honest, guys. I actually think I've seen quite a lot about Real Madrid's first half. I think they were good defensively, but I actually think if you get that much space, you have to do more on it. There's countless times where we were playing it safe and not running at defence. Salah done it 100 times in first half. He was scared to take a man on at times. I felt like, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't think we played that bad first half. Like Mane hits the post. Salah
that's exactly what I was going to come to you,
sorry,
Conroy. It's cool. I know you're eager, Beaver, and you've got.
I don't know if you wanted to go to the next one. I just wanted to add.
No. You know I know where I'm going. Always. That's exactly what I was going to say, Conroy. And I'll let you continue, but I just want to set it up at that. And I agree with what Steve's saying, but I also think I know I criticize our intensity, especially in the midfield area, but I genuinely think that's down to the slight fitness issues in their minds, and also the way I was going to say Juve or Inter, the Italian team, like the way Madrid set up. But I agree with you, Conroy, taking all that into consideration, we still managed to create 2 or 3 chances, shots, half chances, and the biggest one was when Salah on the sixpence turns, hits the post. It's an absolute amazing save. We didn't know at the time. I just saw it hit the post. But when we see this replay on the screen, it's a miraculous save. And how many times have we seen the ball rebound and come back off the goalkeeper and go back in? At that stage, I kind of start thinking, because we're taking, again, another shot by Salah, snapshot straight at him. Anywhere else, that's in. The header from Salah absolutely could have gone anywhere. Trent has a couple of shots where a person of Trent's technical
that's a
ability
chance, Chris.
needs to do far better. So we are getting into positions, even whilst playing at 75% intensity, according to me. So it is down to us, right?
Yeah, like 100%. Like I do get it. Madrid done reasonably decent defensively, especially the first half. Okay, good shape. I would say they've done well. But it's onus is on you. This is, if you want to be a top footballer, decision making has got to be better than that. And like, it infuriated me at times. However, I do think overall I saw enough in that first half that I was okay. It was only towards the end of the first half that I know we're going to talk about that everyone started to panic because it was calamity mode for a few minutes. But this is why I said missed opportunity, because I feel like for me, when you get beat by someone who has your card, I'll hold my hands up. I don't feel like that after that. I feel like, yet again, we've been put in a position, and so I say yet again, for the great season, I don't mean that, but there is certain games where you just feel that clinical edge that a Benzema, and I don't even mean a Benzema, we can go down a level, that certain strikers have. Now, for me, we don't really have a striker. You can say Jota, fair enough, he does a good job, but a striker, and I know I'll talk about that more later as we get towards the end of the game, but as soon as Mane hit the post and then Salah hit the header straight at the goalkeeper, and those chances were coming, I was thinking to myself, I said all week, you cannot create 10 chances, and you cannot rely on creating 10 chances in a final. This is not Southampton at home. You have to step up. And I was worried because I just felt like, I don't know if you guys agree, I just felt like there was an overwhelming feeling that, no, we're not going to step up today. It's not going to go in. And you can't rely on luck. I'm not having this luck. You, a footballer, can put a ball past the goalkeeper if you can get it right in the corner. And I'm not having to go at Mane's shot. I just feel like I didn't feel like we were going to do that at that point, to be honest, guys. And that's quite a negative view. And I'm getting a bit, not to go on a rant, but that's first half screamed to me that we are not clinical enough today. That's what it felt like anyway.
What did it scream to you, Keith? I was okay at half time. I thought by half time I had, obviously I didn't have time to look back and analyze it like I have now, but at the time I did agree with my opinion. Funny enough, you know.
It'd be funny if you disagreed with your opinion.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it would have been weird if I disagreed with my opinion, but I agreed with my opinion on that we were too passive in midfield. I did think that again the injuries we weren't 100% intense because of the injury situations, but again I was comfortable that they've had nothing. The switches that you spoke about, I thought Trent was magnificent and Konate was magnificent in stopping all those avenues. We grew into the press. We started from the 20th minute onwards. We didn't let them out.
Yeah,
but we weren't. But we weren't. I still didn't think we were aggressive enough. And I agree with Conroy. When you're playing like the caliber of team of Real Madrid, and say what you want about them, they are Real Madrid. You're not going to get clear-cut chances every 5-10 minutes. Clinical efficiency has to be. And I thought at halftime, they will have a patch or they will have a phase of play and they've got few clinical people. How did you feel at halftime?
I felt nervous at halftime because there was one incident that happened at halftime, before halftime, that was the precursor for what would come at the end of the day. Like, it felt like when that moment that they got, even though it was chalked off for VAR for offside, that
go into it. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
For me, it was, again, what was it? It was a switch by Luka Modric, right? I believe he switched it right. And it's almost between Valverde and Benzema, and then it was just a bit of a calamity situation. Kicks off there. Benzema gets the ball, bounces off Fabinho, I believe, but it wasn't intentional.
Yeah,
therefore it
hits Alisson's knee, Konate, then hits Alisson's knee, then it goes to that.
Just ping pong. But the fact that Benzema scored that and celebrated, that was my worry, because it felt like this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be smash and grab. It's going to be a smash and grab situation. And you know what, honestly, Conroy, you may have felt that was a rant, but listening to that was absolutely spot on. And I think that game against this type of opposition is crying for a centre forward. It's such a shame that Divock Origi was injured. And you know what? Again, the send-off that he's had has been magnificent. But I really, really look forward to having somebody that we can rely on next season in that centre forward position, because sometimes in life, when the wide forwards, they're gonna be in position, they're gonna try and make things happen, they're gonna cut in. Sadio Mane does a great job of that. The centre forwards, they really smell the line in between the middle of the line. I never thought at any stage of that game did Alaba or Militao have anything to think about within their lines, because a lot of what was happening was really happening in front of them anyway.
In front of them, yeah.
Right, so it's easier, right? Whereas a striker in maybe in a Salah's position, or even just like a one-touch boom goal, being that like killer in the box, it needed that for us to have any chance of winning that game. Again, luck. I know, like, you shouldn't need luck, but you know, it was a brilliant save by Courtois. But I've seen those situations happen so many times where it bounces off the keeper. But again, phenomenal save. For me, we'll get into the second half, but there was a moment in the second half where I felt how Conroy felt, and I felt it's just not going to be our day. It's not. It had the sense of, I just felt Courtois was growing into this game. He was making some big saves. He's a very experienced goalkeeper.
He's massive as well. He's massive.
He's a huge man. His reflexes are unbelievable. And you know what? Out of all the people that talk the talk going into this, Courtois is the one that ultimately walked the walk, because he'd been saying all week that he's not respected for the level that he is. Right? He's never got that love. Everybody seems to do a top 10 and they don't even put Courtois in. And if you always say, like, when strikers like a Benzema got points through, blah, 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 they'll do it on the pitch, he gets all the praise. Courtois was one of the first times I've ever seen a goalkeeper to have that type of build-up as the underdog and go out there and put a man of a match performance. So sometimes those situations are spiritual, I think, at times.
Steve, I'm going to let you have the pleasure of describing the events leading up to the goal for Madrid, which was the killer blow. Sorry, Steve. You're the one. You're the best person to speak and talk about this.
Just say you've not watched it back, Steve. Just say you've not watched it back. Just say you've not seen it. That's what I would do. Not seen it. Sorry.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I don't know. Every goal there is a blame attached to it, right? That's how people look at it. Because it's not a magnificently worked goal. So I want your opinion and your insight into where it breaks down, because it's not a move, is it? It's a counter attack. Yeah. So go for it.
So it ends up coming down our left-hand side, or their right, and Robertson's caught further up the pitch because we are expansive and we do let the fullbacks play and take the risks. And you almost got a 2-on-1 situation with Van Dijk, and he's been dug out quite a bit on social media today for perceivingly not doing enough to cut out the goal. So what does he do? Does he go to the ball? Because if he goes to the ball, there's a reverse pass on and around him. So he's got to try and do this shepherding thing for two men. So basically he's caught between a rock and a hard face. Which one does he go to? So he adopts a blocking body shape. What's quite clever is the way the ball's drilled across the box in terms by the Real Madrid play. It is a well-executed low ball. It's anybody. The goalkeeper's got problems. Everybody's moved across one. Everybody's moved across to fill in the gap because Robertson's not there. So technically Van Dijk moves to the left-back position. Konate moves to Van Dijk's position. Trent comes across to take up Konate's position. And Trent doesn't open his body up. Now, this is not the first time we've seen this. And it's not a criticism. He's not in the team to be an orthodox right-back. He's in the team to challenge Kevin De Bruyne for the most assists across the season. And he's the risk taker. So he doesn't open up his body. He's beaten by the ball. And in all fairness, Vinicius does well to keep his knee over the top of the ball. It is a good finish. It's a poor goal to give away in terms of our starting positions. What I would say is that because of the change in the formation since Gini Wijnaldum has gone, Thiago does not give you the same cover on the left centre midfielder than Wijnaldum does. We've conceded goals against West Ham. We've conceded goals against Everton, where we've had runners on the left-hand side of our midfield. So that's become a bit of a problem. It's a clever ball across the box. It's not great positioning by Robertson or Thiago, but then they don't expect us to give the ball away where we do. So basically, they're in advanced positions to take the ball on and create an attacking movement. It breaks down. They move the ball well into the area where there's space. Van Dijk's stuck between a rock and a hard face. It's a brilliant low ball across the box.
Is it confirmed that it's a cross and not a shot? Does anybody have another opinion on it?
I think it's a cross. If you're shooting from there, there's a question mark as to whether and that's where it ends up, whether you should be playing professional football, to be honest with you, because it's a pretty poor shot if it is one.
Well, hold that thought, because we're coming to Naby's later on. But hold that thought. Go on.
Do we have to?
Let's not. No, honestly, not tonight. Not tonight, Chris. Too early.
So it's a sucker punch. But do you know what I thought? Here we go. Time to wake up. This is it. We've got a goal against us. Now we'll find the yard we're missing. Now we'll find the impetus to play more on the front foot. Now we've got something that is in front of us to break down, to recover, to get get some parity, and then take the game on. I expected an awful lot more from the team than they gave us following that goal.
I think Steve's frozen. A few technical issues today, Conrad. But he's back. He's back.
Yeah, I expected more. I expected more after the goal.
Conrad, that goal goes in, and it's an absolute killer blow. You can see the lift it gives to them. It's an absolute monumental goal. This game had the feeling of the previous finals that we've been in this season, where it kind of feels like, do you remember I spoke about the first goal wins? And that's a horrible feeling because Madrid get the first goal. I was fully confident if we get the first goal, they don't come back. We gotta change it up. What goes through your mind when they score? Where do you look? You look on the subs bench. We have Bobby, we have Jota, we have Naby, Curtis out the attacking players. Taki. What's your feeling? Where do you go? And then based on what he does, was it the right moves?
For me, I hear what you're saying, Steve, about that being a wake-up call. I think the Benzema one, they should be thanking their lucky stars when that gets disallowed. They don't. That's on them. They should have. That should have woke them up. Personally, they got away with one. Well, even though it's correct, I think, let's be honest, it's just luck that it was ended up being offside. For me, that should have been the moment. And the fact that it didn't wake up second half, I've got to be honest, it's a very crushing blow for me when that went in. The biggest fear all week, and even we spoke to Faisal and Kareem on the pre-match, the biggest problem and worry I had all week was if Madrid go one up, right, we will be toothless in attack and not. And I don't care if it's a close effort. That in a final, that's toothless. It's about scoring. It's about stepping up. And ultimately, I'll be honest, for a team that's came back in so many games, I struggled to believe we were going to score. As I said at the start, first half, for me, those were the chances. I struggled when that goal went in to believe that we were going to get back in. I obviously still prayed we would and hoped we would. As the changes get made, I'll be honest, Grizz, off the top of my head, he brings Jota on, doesn't he? Brings Jota on and brings Keita on round about that
it's
time.
It's pretty much a double substitution, isn't it, lads?
Yeah.
That way he brings on Jota and Bobby for Henderson and help me out, guys. Henderson and
Thiago, isn't it?
Thiago.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, Diaz for Jota.
Diaz for Jota.
And then the
and then
double.
Keita for Henderson.
Yeah, I can't remember what order it was, Keith. Was it first? Was it Diaz first?
First Diaz, then it was Henderson.
Right.
Then it was then it was Thiago for Firmino.
That was it.
4-2-4.
And I just, I think following that, Grizz, I know you're going to talk about it. You did have a chance quite early. I say a chance when Salah cuts in and Courtois pulls off a good save. So there was intent. But I've got to be honest, guys, I don't know if you felt the same being in the stadium, Grizz, but for me, I don't know. I just had this, I don't know, it's because of final. I just felt that, I don't know, I just felt so, what's the word, despondent. Even though they were trying, I just felt like there's so many teams I believe this team's going to get back into it. In this game, I just thought, Madrid have got us exactly where they want them, and we're not going to break them down. And ultimately, that's what happened.
It was like Athens all over again. It was like Athens. Athens was the same against AC Milan. I had the same sort of feeling during that game that we would struggle to get out of that.
Heath, I thought at the time and at the game, I thought the substitutions revitalized, but I thought, in my humble opinion, I thought they were about 10, 15 minutes too late. I thought we would have been a bit more instant in the substitutions. I thought there was a level of. I thought we did up the level of intensity, and like Steve says, played more like English Premier League football. We started putting numbers forward and being more braver. Just the run of the ball didn't fall for us in that second half, where there was pullbacks and the defender would get. I mean, look, let's not take anything away from their defending. I thought it was brilliant. It was magnificent defending from them, the effort and bodies on the line and everything. But I thought we just didn't look clinical. And I kind of agree with Conroy. I think they had us where they wanted us. Or
Did
was
you think the players believed they were going to score? That's what I want, because I didn't think they did.
Yeah. So for me, in open play, did I believe that we were going to score a goal? It was I was skeptical, right? Because I just felt that it just felt dogged. It felt like everything, like the bouncers weren't quite running right. Let's talk about for a second Mo Salah's chance, right? Which is really interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because that chance that he has is almost identical to the goal that he scored against Manchester City, where he won goal of the season. Right, today it was announced he was goal of the season, and I watched that goal back and I watched that chance back, and the difference is the fact that in the City game the ball bobbles up for him nicely, he gets to hit it on the volley, goes top, like Ellison can't save it. Whereas the difference with this chance is that he takes the shot but the ball's on the ground, so but the elevation is not enough to get that same elevation you get on almost like a half volley, if you will, that he had against the City game. So it's, again, those type of situations, the Mo Salah shot when Jota, apparently according to all the stats gods, that was the highest expected goal and one of the biggest chances of the entire game, according to a lot of people. Because ultimately, when Salah hits it, it kind of Jota's in a position that if he tries to take a first-time shot, if he anticipates that it's going to come his way, he could almost guide it anywhere he wants because he was in such a great position as well. And then it bounces off him and goes past Courtois the other way. One of the biggest things that frustrated me throughout the night is as I said, I was watching the Canal Plus commentary, right? And I didn't know how word they were talking about. But one thing that they covered was the fact that Liverpool scored the most amount of goals from set pieces than any team in Europe this season. It has been one of our key playmakers, our key situations. It is central to our success under Jurgen Klopp over the last few years. And our set pieces were terrible. There were crosses coming in that did not beat the first man. When we were those were the chances to get back into that game, and they weren't even hitting the first man. And again, credit to Madrid that they defended it well, but I thought the quality of the distribution that was coming in from those corners, of all the times that we had to take bad corner after bad corner after bad corner, this was the time we did it. And that for me is where I felt, okay, it's not going to be our night. It's just not happening. It's either a set piece or we're not scoring a goal. And exactly what Conroy said in terms of the smash and grab. It's the worst situation you could possibly be in is to go 1-0 down to a side that's doing that to you. And you can shepherd, blame, and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes situations just the ball doesn't bounce for you in that situation. It just doesn't bounce for you in that situation. You make the chances. You can say more clinical players in those situations may kill the chances, and that's a debate for sure. But we made those chances. We created those chances. They were there. They were in very, very good positions, but execution just wasn't there at all.
Talking
and we
about
into the counter attack as well. So that was a whole other madness.
Talking about execution of chances, it's time we spoke about, and I don't want to single out Naby Keita at all, but in terms of our shooting outside the box, Steve is atrocious. I find we haven't got enough goals from outside the box. We had a couple at the start of the season. We had a few, I remember. Naby Keita, again, showing that he can do it with that tremendous volley. I think Thiago got a couple.
Yeah, that was Atletico, Chris, the volley.
Yes,
and Crystal Palace as well.
That's what I mean. So there is a couple. Thiago smashes one in against in the Champions League. Porto,
off the ground. What a goal that was.
Henderson's had one or two as well. But in the last in the last second half of the season, we've become totally reliant on one of the 4 lads, whoever plays up front, or 3 lads, or whoever, to get the goals and or set pieces. One of the criticisms of mine is when we play up against a low block, there's 2 ways that I think we should play, and Man City probably do it the best, where if you're going to go the route of cutbacks, you have to flood the box with midfield runners. We don't do that. And B, the likes of Rodri score from outside the box. Sorry, Keith touched upon the set pieces, which I absolutely agree on. Our set pieces were shambolic. The most important game of the season, probably one of the more vulnerable teams against set pieces. Our set pieces were shambolic. Naby Keita's chance, just indicative of our calmness in front of our goal. Our what's the word? Temperament,
composure.
Composure.
Yeah.
Composure.
It sums it up.
It's good play. We've actually got behind them, which is very difficult to do because they're playing so deep. He pulls it back. Naby Keita surely has to take a touch, and then opens up his options, because what he tries to do didn't make sense to me. It's not just Naby Keita. Would you agree that all our midfielders are very poor from that aspect?
It is. And what's interesting is when you started that segue into this part, Conroy's wringing his face in his hands because he's feeling like all of us felt.
All of us.
So what I don't understand is, and I'll get to the options thing in a minute, is the ball comes out to him and it is sitting up to be hit. How do you strike a ball that comes off your instep and almost goes out for a throw-in from that position? I don't understand it. Doesn't even come off the laces, doesn't come off the outside of the boot, does not go down the goalkeeper's throat. If he pulls that ball down, he's got a chance to strike it, or he's got a chance to shift it right. He's got 2 options. The better option would have been to strike it from there, to be brutally honest with you. But 70 odd minutes into a Champions League final when you're chasing a game, that is absolutely criminal to try that. And then to stand there, have the audacity to stand there with your head in your hands as if to say, how did that happen? The one thing that we didn't do yesterday is we made all the wrong decisions at all the wrong times in advanced positions. And that's not something you can say typically of a Liverpool side. But if there's one thing that sort of captures that ideology that we made wrong decisions, it is that's it. That's the moment when you think to yourself, this is a European Cup final and we're trying to score goals doing things like that. And it's arguably the worst shot from the edge of the box. It's up there with Jeff Thomas's effort for England many, many years ago that was ridiculed for years afterwards.
You play the percentages, Steve, don't you? See it in a final, right? When you're chasing, you play the percentages, hit it on target, and there's bodies there. Like, I don't know, but I'm convinced 5-a-side players who you play with every week would have done a better effort there, because I don't know if it's overthinking. It's got to do that. It's just there's moments like add Firmino tying his laces. Like, what is going on? This is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the great culture Klopp's created. Of course he has. But for me, that's not good enough. There's no possible answer that comes out of his mouth that's good enough from Keita. Like, I'm sorry. This is elite sport. That is just shocking. And that was a big chance, guys. A huge chance.
And the players look at Naby Keita in the same way the players looked at Loris Karius for passing the ball to Benzema for the first goal. There's a collective disbelief in the people around him that situation. Pull that ball down, then either have a shot or drive into the box or push it right. There's 3 or 4 different permutations there. He's got 5 yards. He's got 5 yards to deal with that, and comes up with that. And we've talked about different periods during the game when you kind of sit there and go, "Wow, do you know what? That might be. We might have had our chips for tonight. That might be it. That might be the point. The point in the game where you think it's going to take something out of the norm." But how do you explain that? How do you explain that to your manager when you go into the dressing room and say, "Sorry, boss, that wasn't great, was it?" You can't imagine what the reply would be. But to be brutally honest with you, you're right. We need players that are going to take shots from outside of the box. But our midfield 3 is a resilient midfield 3 with a guy that controls the game on the ball from distance, not sitting right up behind the front 3. this is where we needed a game change. This is where, when we do our recruitment in the summer, and I'm sure we'll get onto that in a little bit, we need to think about what you said about Manchester City when they pull the ball back. Instead of having a 6 and 2 8s, they've got 3 10s in the box who are waiting to ram that ball into the back of the net. There's nobody there for us. Nobody there at all. And last night, we should have gambled. We should have gambled big time, because our dream of disappearing in front of our eyes, and we tried the same old routine, time in and time out. Just wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough.
It actually segues into a super chat from Henry. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. He says, Grizz, love everyone on your channel, including Blue Chip. Thanks for everything. Why always play a high line and press against the low block? This is, Conray, I'm coming to you. We're sprinting to win the ball back on the 63rd game of the season when they still have 6 defenders in the box. Conray.
No, that is an interesting take, Henry, actually. And I think, do you know what? As a general point, that might get looked at. I think in this game, it's one of them. It's like, we've had success with it, so you're probably not going to rip up the rule book before the game. But I actually think seeing we'll maybe do the breakdown show, Henry, I think that's a good point, that in maybe certain games, if that, like a Burnley at home, or like teams have done that in the past, we should maybe look to changing it, because we don't have to be. But Klopp would maybe argue that the way we press is because either way, if they try to play it from the back, we can win it back and we've got a better chance of scoring. But do you know what? Adaptation in that for certain games, I think we could look at that more. But I think in this game specifically, it's been so successful. And we saw how, who was it the other night when we played Southampton, guys? Or was it when we didn't have Van Dijk and we tried the high line and it didn't look very good?
Was it Matip and Konate? Was it Southampton when it looked a bit off that game? Or I can't remember, maybe the Villa game, possibly it was. Or I think it was the Southampton game. But on that, I think with Van Dijk, you can do that. And let's be perfectly honest, guys, right? Barring counter-attacks, how many chances did Real Madrid take before their opening goal? How many did they create? Because the Benzema one was offside. But I think it's something we could look
at. I don't think they created, apart from the counter-attack right at the end, when obviously we gambled more, I don't think they created a single chance or attempted shot even.
But it's a fair point by Henry. It's something to talk about.
Their expected goals was apparently less than Mo Salah's. Just Mo Salah's. Yeah. I mean, it shows you the levels that we're dealing with.
They called it. Madrid fans called it. They said, this is what's going to happen. And we've went right into it, and we've not changed their opinion. We've proved them right, because we've not stepped up. And that's the thing. That's what's so infuriating, because they've called it and they've been absolutely right. And we're the ones who could have seen this coming, and we've not done anything to stop it. And that's what infuriates me. And I'm sorry to keep going on, guys, but it was so predictable, right? And it's exactly what happened. How many times in life does that happen? That's mad.
Football CF Candy sends in a super chat. I appreciate this boy here. Grizz, big up to you. I remember Chelsea fans had the same experience during the Lille round 16 match, and they tear-gassed fans. Wow, that's awful. Crazy. Quick question. 8 out of 12 finals lost for Klopp. Is that a concern for you? No, because I'm only concerned with his time at Liverpool. And in his time at Liverpool, he has 6 out of 10, which I'm more than happy with. Out of those 4 losses, 2 have been to the greatest club side in the world, in Real Madrid, in a competition they own, as they've won in 14 times. The other final was to Man City, which was very early stages of his
first
season. And the Europa League final, we probably lost to the best Europa League team.
Same season as well, Chris. Same season as well.
So 6 out of 10 for me is I'm okay with. His time at Dortmund, he was always the underdog against mighty clubs. So I appreciate your support. Pixelated Pigeon says, cheers to Grizz and company for all the thoughtful discussion across the season. Really top stuff. Disappointing conclusion, but very proud to be fighting on all fronts to the very end. Fine margins, absolutely. Pixelated, we absolutely appreciate your support as well. And thank you very much. Mohit says, was feeling so low after yesterday. We all were, bro. That made me feel sick. But watching today's parade has helped a lot. Big up Grizz, love from India. Keith, as you say, the ending seemed inevitable, and it was. We couldn't break through. Final whistle goals. I just heartbreak for the players, for me personally. As fans, we get disappointed and we think, oh, but can you imagine the despair and heartbreak for those players? Because how many times have we discussed it and said, we feel for them more, they deserve more. We don't deserve, we get what we get what we get. We shouldn't be entitled to anything. We shouldn't demand anything. We should support. That's our role, to support. But players and coaches deserve, because they have been monumental this season for us, played every game possible for us and put their hearts on the line for us. I really felt for them at the final whistle, and some of the players were just, it was heartbreaking to see some of their reactions.
It's Champions League. In my opinion, I truly believe if you wrapped all those players up on a lie detector right now and asked them, what would you rather want to win, season in, season out, Premier League or Champions League? They'll tell you that they want to win both. But if you had to give one answer, it's the Champions League. The Champions League, I think, means more to these players. I think it's our run under Jurgen Klopp in the Champions League has been nothing short of unbelievable. I never thought in my life I would ever see a Liverpool team so dominant in Champions League football, season in, season out. The runs that we go on, the records that we've been setting, our away performances this season has been spectacular. These runs that we've been on, I just never thought I'd see the day. Even in our worst state, we got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We've been to now. This is our second final. I don't put it past us to go into another final. I think as a Champions League team, I think we are in the last 5 years. I think we are up there with Real Madrid and Manchester City.
Three finals.
Yeah, 3 finals. Sorry, yeah, I couldn't forget. You're right. So that's why I think there is this squad, this team, these players. I think the Champions League really is something for them, and you're totally right in terms of they would have felt despondent the most, because this was like, you just had the disappointment of the Premier League. You see, everybody sees things said about them and tweets and stuff like that. You can't get away from it these days at all, and you want to kind of be the ones to do it. And unfortunately, it wasn't your day, and probably even more despondent because, as Conroy said, I think they knew what was coming as well. They knew what was happening, and that's what made it. They will kick themselves in the backside. For us, I had one of the best days ever yesterday at the fan park. Do you know what I mean? Supporting Liverpool with 40,000 Reds, right? I got to sit this season in the Arsenal home end in the League Cup semi-final and watch my 2 Arsenal mates leave the stadium while I sat there for the rest and watched Liverpool celebrate as we qualify for the final of the League Cup. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all the journeys, all the excitement, all the build-up for us fans. We couldn't win all of them, but we got to talk about doing it until May, which was unbelievable. But for the players, they are target driven. They are professionals. This is their job. And at the end of the day, their job is to be winners. And they know the difference between being winners and being second place, because they are attempting to be the dominant force in football. So they know the fine margins, probably more than we would ever know in our own lives, in our own working careers. We don't ever work to those levels of targets, that level of pressure. Maybe some do in the chat, maybe some do watching, etc. And by all means, share your opinions, but they work towards being at the most elite. So being second place for them is not an option. And the people that banter and say, yeah, second is not first, blah, 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 we'll protect our players and we'll contextualize the situation. But deep down, the players, that's how they think too. There's at that elite, that second is nothing. And Jurgen Klopp is as well. So I agree with you. I think for the players, this one was the sucker punch, and which is why Klopp's genius, his ability to connect as a leader by insisting on having the parade today, puts us in such good stead for next season.
Brilliant segue. Wasn't planned again, but brilliant segue to Steve Plunkett over at the parade today. Over to you, Mr. Plunkett, to give me your opinion on how you felt beforehand, thinking the parade, because I know we discussed it, like how it was going to go. Even the players were talking about, we weren't sure how it was going to be, and let's tell us how it went today. And as Keith makes a brilliant point, is pretty genius from Klopp to insist.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what? The connect between the players and the fans is needed because we never got to celebrate the league title with the fans. So this was closure in that regard too. And it was important to do that. So it wasn't just about celebrating the two cup trophies this season. It was about closing on that too for me. So I arrived there today at the Strand where all the bodies are, all the stuff on the internet at the moment with all the pyro, and there's literally 200,000 people in one road. And it is exactly the same as it was when we won the Champions League a few years ago. The atmosphere is the same. The singing all the way, waiting for 3 hours for them to come. The singing never stops. The more and more people piling in, TV cameras down there. The atmosphere is tremendous. Singing all the songs, going through the repertoire. You'd not believe that we lost a cup final the night before. It just isn't what we do. So in that regard, I went to the end of the parade down at the Strand because I think it's got the best atmosphere in terms of the fans. By that time, the bus has been on the road for the best part of 3 hours, and it turned cold as well while we were down there waiting. But the bus comes past us, and all the guys at the front, chief amongst them was Ibu Konate, who's dancing to the music, celebrating with the fans, and there's an energy coming off that bus that's been reciprocated by the fans. We were singing. You couldn't even see the bus for the pyro. I'm surprised I even managed to pick out anybody in my photograph because it's just my eyes are still stinging now. And we've been on a pod for how long? So it was an absolutely amazing atmosphere. All my friends in my WhatsApp group are at different parts throughout the city. Some at Chilwell Five Ways, where it starts. Others on Queen's Drive, and then others back into town. I saw Errol down there as well. So the feeling amongst the fans was, this is how we connect. This is how we communicate with the players. This is our football club. There are other rival fans on Twitter right now ridiculing us for having a parade. They shouldn't question what they don't understand. They don't have the connect with the club and with the players that we have. It's incredible the love that those guys show each other, that we show the players, and they show us. So you're right, Keith, that that's the killer. That's the one that stings. But we sit and ponder this for weeks, days, months about where our club's going to get to and what we're going to win. They get over these defeats a lot quicker than we do. Otherwise, they don't get themselves up for the next game. If you've seen any of the clips of Klopp on the bus today talking to the LFC TV reporter, that's not a man who's particularly down right now. He said it when we lost the league run in with Manchester City. If you're going to win big, you've got to be prepared to lose big. It's a setback. We lost to Madrid. The following season, we won the Champions League. We got 97 points, didn't win the league. The following season, we won the league. This is what this man has created. It's like an unbreakable bond with the club, with the fans. We will be back next year. 110% will be back next year, because if the players needed reminding at any point of who they play for and what they mean to us, there's 600,000 people on the streets of Liverpool today to ram that message home that we want to share success with you. We want to support you when things don't go well. It's the old Bill Shankly adage. We win together, we lose together, and we stay together. And that was epitomised today in the atmosphere down there. It was absolutely incredible, and I feel a million times better for having spent my afternoon down there today.
It was awe-inspiring watching the proceedings. Obviously, I wasn't back in time to get to it, but it was inspirational stuff as a fan base, and I can only imagine what it felt like for the players to see the support reciprocated. Very few, I don't know. Let me know in the chat if you think any other fan base can do what we've done today. You got to remember, there was probably around 30,000 still in France, 20 to 30,000 in France, and majority of the 50 to 70,000 that went out there, majority probably came back and couldn't get to the parade. So imagine how the parade would have looked even more if it was sort of organized slightly. But I know it couldn't have been organized any better. And imagine if we had won the Champions League. This is support and love that it's not like no other. and it's not only for the players that have repped us magnificently this season, but players in future that are linked with us will see that and say, we want some of that. We want that, because there's nothing like that. That's what you call support, and the whole essence of "You'll Never Walk Alone" was shown today on the streets of Liverpool. Conroy, one person who would have felt that and seen that, and has been, for me, I've decided it's probably my favorite signing of the Klopp era, Sadio Mane. I believe, I know he hasn't said it officially, but I tweeted it sort of in the morning. I believe he has decided to try and pastures new. I just wanted you to speak a couple of minutes on Sadio Mane and just Sadio Mane.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Chris. It's like, again, mixture of emotions today. This one's really got me, to be honest. It's like, I'd say some fans, we've discussed, like, we've had this show all season. It's been so enjoyable, but maybe 8 months ago, a lot of people would maybe say this is the right time for Sadio to leave. He's still been affected, maybe not in the best form. I'd say in the last 6 months since AFCON, he looks rejuvenated. He looks outstanding. The change in position, that adaptation's not easy as well. Lots of wingers or other players, if you let a winger to fullback or a winger to another position, have failed at that. And he to move as number 9 has been very good. It's a sad day. I'll be honest, it's really got to me, this one, because you know what, I actually thought, you know what, Sadio, he's got back to that form again, and I feel like I'm quite confident going into next season with him. He can either play out wide or play in that role, and can be a massive instrument to us going forward. But yeah, I think it's just one of them. From what I'm hearing, Grizz, I know you're the ITK, you know more, but it seems that he just wants to try something new. I've got to be honest, it's hard to get my head around. They're not fans, some players, though. Like, they want the team to win, but they've got their own ambitions or things they want to try. But when you're in that parade, to not want to be part of that, or want to keep trying your new challenge, it's hard to get my head around. But, like, fair play. If he wants to go, let him go. And if he does end up going to Bayern, what I would say is you've got to kind of keep the respect there. Bayern were quite good with Thiago for that price. We're probably looking similar, not to be roughly maybe a same type of transfer fee, maybe a little bit more. I could see that happening now, Grizz, and albeit he's not said anything. There's numerous reports that have came out, and it looks like even with his interviews he has done, they've been a bit what's the word? What's the word when you're like, yeah, cryptic? Yeah, that's it, Keith. That's why Keith's got the job he's got. That's a good one. But with that to me, it does seem like the writing's on the wall. And do you know what? Like, just a slight point before I let everyone else say about Mane. Steve, see your point about the parade today. To me, that's why Klopp's a genius, because everyone, it's so funny because seeing social media, people are taking the mick or taking the piss out of us. But see, by the end, I don't know if that actually does double on rival fans, because they're like, we don't care. You're tweeting about this, but we're in your head now. And if anything, our players have forgotten about last night, and it's on. So to me, it's like two birds with one stone. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen, obviously I'm going to talk about Robertson, but Robertson's comments after it, like, the best fans in the world, we didn't know how the reception would be, and it's just like exhilarating. To me, I think that's genius management. Like, I really do. I feel like now the fans and the players are in sync, and they're going to hit the ground running. And all these people are saying, oh, it's embarrassing, like rival fans. To be perfectly honest, by the end, I think they're thinking, well, they're together. Like, they're in sync. This is something that it's not gonna be finished. It's gonna keep carrying on. And I think that itself was genius. And fair play, Klopp. We're so lucky to have him, but to me that was a masterstroke. So I just wanted to add that. Sorry, Grizz, back on the Mane thing.
Just before I get to Keith, a couple of super chats, which are relative. Mark sends in a super chat. Appreciate the support, Mark. Mane news topped a sad 24 hours as a fan for me. So sad. That's my guy, man. Wish him all the best. Grizz, I'd like to think the club knew about this for some time. Are we in talks with a potential replacement? If we get to 400 likes, I'll mention what I've heard. Sam sends in a super chat. He says Mane, Origi, and potentially Ox going out. Cavalli already signed. What other business do we need to do? What do you predict? Keith, for sure, if Sadio Mane goes out, Origi goes out, Ox goes out. Ox and Origi are dead nailed on certs. I believe Mane is as well. Surely we bring in another attacking player. What kind of attacking player would you like? As we've discussed, sort of the different types of strikers we've got or forwards. And would you go for 2 more, or do you think you'd like to possibly suggest Carvalho is one of them, possibly keep Taki and go for one relatively big name striker? How would you go about addressing this gap now?
For me, the central midfield, 1, and the centre forward, 1.
I know what you're going to say. I'm sorry,
right?
but I love it. I love it. I love it.
Right? It has to be Virgil van Dijk money. It has to be, you know what I mean? It has to be big. It has to be Harry Kane style. It has to be what City did with Haaland. It has to be a Virgil van Dijk signing for a centre forward. Simple as that. For me, and you've seen what I spoke about earlier, Connery. So we had this commentary, right? For me, we have, like you just said, right? We've got Carvalho, right? He's going to come into the team.
I think Carvalho, you know, Steve's point. Well, actually, I made it and Steve copied it, or you know, remote closely. In terms of
he takes people's points all the time. Don't worry about that. Does that all the time.
In terms of, listen, you have to learn. You've got to learn all the time, and I'm learning off you guys. But you know the point that we spoke about in terms of the City 10s getting into the box.
Yes.
On the end of Carvalho is game for that. So I think that will be very, very utilized weapon next season. But sorry, Keith.
Yeah, it will be utilized. So you think Carvalho is going to be more of a utilized weapon in the midfield role as opposed to one of the front three, right? So
yeah,
you've got
midfield,
you've got Jota, you've got Salah, you've got, as you said, you've got Taki Minamino, and you've got, I
Diaz.
would say, sorry.
Diaz,
sorry, right? And Carvalho may play there. It may move him around a lot within the pitch. So you've got a lot of mix of experience, but you've got quite a few guys there that are still, you know, yet to fully realize their potential as being the world-class forwards. Liverpool cannot afford to not have a world-class centre forward playing in through that middle. It has been a position where Firmino, going into his last year of his contract, I don't see that continuing past that next year. I see him being used more as an auxiliary player. You've just got rid of Divock Origi, who is an actual centre forward, and you've just got rid of a man that you've just turned into, well, not got rid of, but the man who wants to leave has just turned out that he can be pretty damn good in the centre forward position as well. So that's 3. So with those wages that you lose, for me, it has to be a Van Dijk-esque big impact. This guy is ready-made for that position. And for me, we could put names here and there, but you know, it has to be someone of that level. And there are few and far between in football, in world football. And I saw the talks about Spurs finishing 4th meant that we won't be able to be able to go in for X, Y, and Z. And you know that I'll speak about like in another sense, but that's what I believe that should be. And in terms of Sadio Mane, I'm so happy for him. Honestly, I'm so happy for him. You know, when we do review shows of the season, it will be great to kind of go back to some of the pods we've done and some of the channels and things that we spoke about. Because for me, like you could see it even earlier on in the season, he was adapting to a position where he was going to pick up more centralized positions in attacking situations and be lethal. And be lethal he has. Yes, AFCON, but after AFCON, he was brilliant. Absolutely no doubt about it. But even before AFCON, you know, 10 Premier League goals before December, you know, like contributing. There was a gap. Yes, there was a lull, I must admit, but he was scoring goals. And he was very influential. A player that influential, scoring goals that gets points or gets leads, you know what I mean? Or it's winning goals, right?
That's 20 goals out of your team, Keith. That's 20 goals a season,
that's what's leaving, yeah. And you know what? 8 seasons, I believe. 8 seasons he's been at Liverpool. Is it around 8 seasons?
Is it 6 or is it 8? I'm again.
6?
No.
Is it 8?
It's 7 or 8. It's
7
not
or 8
6.
seasons
Yeah.
at Liverpool.
Conroy with the Avi impression.
No, I saw a tweet earlier, Chris. Honestly,
stop looking at Twitter. Yeah, go on.
I think it's a beautiful moment for both clubs, for both parties. If I'm completely honest with you, it's an exciting opportunity for Klopp to try something different, and it's an exciting opportunity for Sadio Mane to go out and win trophies in other countries. You know, as long as we're not selling him to a direct rival, which I just can't see us doing, I think it's a brilliant opportunity for him to go out there and basically continue to do what he's doing. I mean, if Bayern Munich get him, whoever gets him, he's going to win another title. He's going to be in Champions League. He's going to be earning great money. Culturally, he's already used to that culture. He played in Austria, so he's used to that would you say that Austria, Germany,
I don't
Switzerland?
know. Geography is not my best. I don't know if
There's
Steve
all
and
like,
Conrad can come in there.
but like that kind of cultural area there, Switzerland, etc. So he's used to that, right? So he's going back to something he already knows. You know, I'm sure like he'll fit in very, very well in the Bundesliga next season. So for me,
Yeah, so.
I love him and I backed him to the hilt this season. But I think it's an exciting opportunity for both parties.
Steve, I probably want to do an absolute full show on Sadio Mane when it's official. Obviously, when we hear from Sadio Mane himself and the club. So I don't want to go into it too deep, but just a very quick overview on Sadio Mane and how you feel about the situation. You're okay with it? I mean, we always have to respect his wishes if it's, as I said, official. But yeah, Sadio Mane, absolutely legend.
100%. That's not in question. His legacy's written. He's a legend of the football club. First of the big hitters in terms of the front line, joined the club under Klopp. Set the precedent for what we wanted to do. Explosive, inverted wingers, if you like. Fashionable phrase to say that, but we know what he does. Been an absolute stalwart over the years. I think he's suffered massively in the season when we had no centre backs, no system, and no Gini Wijnaldum sitting behind him. When Andy Robertson stayed at home for the second half of the season, and I think Sadio tried too hard to do too much, and a lot of people put that down to a loss in form. We had no system. We were playing off the cuff football, and for what our front line does, everything else in the team has to be working well, as we saw, last night in the final. So in terms of Sadio, he goes with a massive thank you. He goes with all the love of Liverpool Football Club and its fans. Tremendous. He'll be the top 10 forwards that we've ever had. When we sit down in years to come and have the conversation about who are the top 10 forwards, he's the most gentle man off the pitch, but he's aggressive and he goes looking for stuff on the pitch. He's a fighter. He's a winner. He's an absolute superstar. And if it is Bayern Munich and Robert Lewandowski's going out the door, could be a lot more seamless than they believe it would be to have Sadio Mane leading their line as a number 9. And you're quite right. His origin in terms of European football is in Austria, so it's a completely different way of life. He knows it. He understands it. It'll be a very, very quick transition for him. But it's absolutely Liverpool's loss and somebody else's gain. And that's the only way I can look at it. And we love him to bits. Absolutely love him to bits. So there's no animosity. I know he's tried twice before to do this. In 2018 and in 2020, he made known he wanted fresh challenge. And that's okay. That's okay for him to do that. But there's a way of doing it, and it's been done correctly. So he hasn't damaged his legacy, and we will watch with interest from afar, with little adulation in our eyes, because he's one of ours and we adore him.
I couldn't have said it much better, Steve. That was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and as I said, once it is kind of official, we'll dedicate a whole. It's only fair to dedicate a whole show to this man, player, teammate.
I'm gutted. I'm actually gutted, honestly.
Yeah. I am, Conroy. I'm not going to lie. Especially like Keith says, the resurgence, because the resurgence has been magnificent. You could say the coming back from the criticism of last season, and you only do that if you're a legend, if you're a strong human being, and you've got the mentality of a lion, a king, and he has all that. And not only will his goals and assists and his general play be missed, but his personality around the team, so loved. Steve says, what a personality, what a character. And as I said, we could go into it all night in terms of just speaking about Sadio Mane's time. Obviously, Conrad, very briefly, what kind of striker would you like to see now brought in replacement? Are you confident that you'd like to think we will bring in someone, or are you of the opinion we think there may be enough and maybe keep Taki as the sort of the fifth auxiliary striker, or how would you go about it if you was in charge?
For me, Grizz, Listen, fair enough. Everyone's doubted their opinion in the chat, and you might be right, but I think there's a lot of chat about Mane's replacement like a winger. Like for me, that's Diaz. So that's already there. I think fully 100% behind Keith. I think we've both said it at different periods of the season that we've just let a number 9 go. It has to be a striker, not a forward. It has to be a striker. The biggest thing about that game that annoyed me is I say this all the time, guys, but see when you can need to rescue a game and your game plan's not worked. You can't be crossing the ball into. You need a striker. Like for me, you have to have the option. You've just let Origi go, and for me, you need to go for someone who suits us more, who you can use, but can be that killer. Now I know Grizz. I know you've got a bit of information thinking Nunes, and people are looking at. And do you know what? There's about 50-50 of the fan base now.
Thanks for breaking it. Thanks for breaking it before we got to 400 likes and ruining the whole essence of getting a like.
You tweeted it earlier.
Yeah.
Chris.
All right. Well, not everyone has Twitter, Conroy. People wait for the show. I know Keith. He's done it again. I know, lads. I know he's done it again.
Right,
he's the new blue chip. I don't know.
I'm not meaning to. But
tartan chip.
Yeah. I know. It's quite good actually. But no, the point I was getting to is, I'll take any striker right now who's of a good like we need. It has to be a striker, like preferably a number 9 striker, 100%. But for me, I'm going to agree with Keith. Keith tweeted earlier, and to be honest, I think this makes so much sense. And you might say it's not possible, but we are competing with Manchester City, who've just signed Haaland. Now I know we're not the same, right? But I think there is a world where the one person who can come and be a game changer for Liverpool is Harry Kane. Harry Kane can slot in and link up the play like we want for false 9, but also be that killer in the box. You might not like him, fair enough, but for me, he is a game. If we get Kane, that puts fear into other teams. Like that is a big statement, and it's probably never going to happen. I get that, but if you just look at it football wise, that is the one that, to me, could change everything.
Yeah, you've got a new name.
Tartan chip.
I'll let you know. Yeah, you're the new.
I won't do some insider trading during the draft. I'm not going to do that.
Absolute tartan chip, you are. Absolutely. I think there was a super chat that I wanted to address before we move on, and I very swiftly wanted to address it. I don't need you guys to have any input on this. Red Boy, I really appreciate the support. Really appreciate the super chat. But Trent is not good enough as right back. Why do we keep overhyping guys like him when they mess up time and time again? His assists overshadow his bad defending. I tried to read it as slowly as I could, but I couldn't.
Can I say something quickly? Because
of course you can.
They're talking about the goal. Now, everybody's idea about the goal is that Trent is supposed to make a physical defensive situation on Vinicius in that position. He gets blindsided. For me, that's not what the issue was. The issue was if Trent steps out and keeps the line with Virgil and Konate, and you know what? Playing an offside trap in your box is fucking hard. But that is the only way you're going to stop that situation from developing into a goal for the position. You're not really going to be able to make that kind of a quick decision when the ball is coming at such pace in front of so many bodies. Those things can happen. What do they always say? Hit a hard hit, a low hit across the box, right, and put it into that danger zone, right? It's the carbon copy of football. It's a very difficult defensive situation to deal with. I actually think it should have been the offside trap instead. So that's why I defend him for that. What he produced yesterday was a brilliant at dealing with the counter attack as much as
he was. I thought he was. I thought the criticism is mad. I get certain criticism could be levied around the goal, but it's one of those situations where I think Steve touched upon the body positioning, and that will absolutely come with the more he plays at right back. We keep harping on about it, but it's fact. It's fucking fact that he's only played that right back for a few years. And in those situations, yes, we do play the high line. He could have played him offside. I think that was a mission to play high line there as well, play him offside there as well, Keith. So I get it. But to say he's not good enough for Liverpool at right back is just wild.
You could blame Van Dijk as well, Grizz. Like people are saying, like I agree with, like, okay, I understand that you don't want to commit, but having watched it again, Van Dijk has got a time in that phase to make a decision and get there before Valverde has a chat. I think it is Valverde, and then Carvalho does overlap. So if you're looking at the most experienced player there, you could criticise. I'm not going to, but you could even say Van Dijk should engage quicker before it gets to the point where he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Instead of doing the shepherding action, which works out a lot, but so it's and you could even argue, like, obviously Robbo goes with Modric for the press, right? Press in the area, maybe that's what we do, but that could maybe be a bad decision making. And the fact that Carvajal gets the ball through past Thiago and Fabinho, that's not immaculate play by then either. They should maybe do better. There's several faults in that goal if you want to break it down like that, but we're a team, we win together, we lose together. And I think at the same time, it's like these shouts to say, oh, he can't be a right back anymore. I understand we're upset, we're emotional, but the guy is literally crushing numbers at right back. What happens if you put him in a CDM? He's never played there at this level, but how do you know that's going to work out? I think he's great at this. Yeah, people make mistakes. It happens.
Trez Fresh says Darwin's link-up plays like Jota's. I think why he mentions Darwin.
You'll be loving that, Chris. You'll be loving that. Oh, you'll love it.
Well, look, the name I've heard that Jurgen Klopp favours or wants is Darwin Núñez. We can discuss again on another show. We will be discussing the much loved Tic Tac transfer show will be live and exclusive from possibly next week or the week after. So we will be having loads of content on that and going through not only Liverpool's sort of transfer stories, etc., but the Premier League's transfer stories. But Darwin Núñez is the name I've got that we're very much interested in and would like as an attacking option. Feel free to leave your comments and views on Darwin Núñez in the chat afterwards or now. I'm not his biggest fan, as Conroy is trying to allude to, but what the hell do I know? What the hell do I know? I'm sat here Sunday evening on a YouTube channel, whereas people far, far more qualified than me think that he's the perfect.
Can I just make a point on Núñez? Núñez's movement is incredible, and he pulled us all over the place at Anfield. It only works for Núñez if you go and buy a centre midfielder that can connect with him, rather than sitting back as a 6 and 2 sort of ball retaining 8. You've got to have somebody in that pocket, almost like a 4-2-3-1, which I hate because it congests the front line. But you've got to be a bit more expansive with it. You've got to have a centre midfielder that can change your game. You've almost got to go out and buy someone in the mould of a Kevin De Bruyne that's going to be pulling the trigger for a guy like that. You can't do it from 25, 30 yards away.
I mean, as I said, I'm not his biggest fan, but how many times have we as a fan base been proven wrong in terms of our recruitment, knowing what they're doing and the coaches having a plan for these certain players? Obviously, nothing's agreed or anything like that with Núñez. So we remain to see what other links come up, names come up. I personally would love Nkunku, but I personally don't have any information about it. But I love Nkunku as an option. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's made to play in our front three. But we await and see. I've got no doubts that we will replace Sadio Mane. I'm not of the opinion of people that think Diaz was the Mane replacement and we go again. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I agree with Conroy in terms of if we're dealing with Man City on that level, we've got to be going. Or was it Keith that made that point? But, in terms of going big.
Same sentiment from us.
Same sentiment. But we've got all summer to ponder that possibly and go for that and talk about that and discuss that. What we have to wrap up now is the season for Liverpool FC on a whole. And what a season. What a season. It's been long. It's been exhausting. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, mostly high, some low. It's sad that it's ended on a low. But overall, guys, it's been riveting and it's been an absolute pleasure supporting this team of ours. It makes me proud that I support this club. Honestly, imagine being us, everyone else talking about us, everyone else rejoicing, absolutely rejoicing in the perceived deficiencies of not winning a quadruple. Like, think about that. The fact that we didn't win every competition we entered is a stick to beat us with. And that's the levels we've got to now under this manager. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I can't thank you guys enough. Of course, first and foremost, you guys that have joined me this season. I'm saying it like it's our last ever show. So maybe I'll retract that statement. So I'll thank you at the end if there's no more shows. But of course, there'll be plenty of shows. But this season has been absolutely amazing, brilliant, guys. We obviously won't have any reviews post-match or pre-match to do, but there's absolutely heaps and heaps of content to come. So don't give up on us. Don't abandon us quite yet. We ain't going anywhere, just like this Liverpool team. I have a super chat that I need to read out before Conroy hits us with the outro. Hossam says Pedro Goncalves. Yes, Mr. Blue Chip himself is adamant that we are one of the interested parties in Goncalves. So if Blue Chip says that, then fair enough. But he's more of a number 8 again. So yeah, so I don't know about that. I'm just looking as if there's any WWF questions for Keith before we go out. Is there, Keith? Have you spotted anything?
No, actually, no. I spotted no WWE questions, but a huge thank you. Where is it?
Oh, there you go. There you go, Mustafa. Yeah, there you go. You read, yeah, so let you read it out because that's Mustafa's your fan.
Yeah, no WWE questions. Shout out Mustafa. Mohammed, thank you all season for joining us and sharing, being able to share WWE banter with yourself. But no WWE question today. Just a big shout out to Grizz and all the Redfellas for bringing us nothing but bangers without fail every Sunday and during the weeks this season. Have a wonderful summer.
Yeah. But as I said, we haven't gone anywhere. We're not going anywhere. These guys will be on your screens, much more this summer. We have maybe a little bit of a rest and we go again, and it's going to be magnificent. And as Steve said earlier, we're not going anywhere. We're at Liverpool Football Club is not going anywhere. And that's the beauty of it. And that's what irks. That's what irks these rival fans and pundits and media. That all their predictions and all their ideas about Liverpool being finished last season. Wow. It nearly came back to haunt them in the worst way possible, where we fucking complete football. But we still managed to win 2 of the competitions we entered, and a magnificent campaign in the Premier League and a magnificent campaign in the Champions League. So we will 100% go again. Thank you very much, guys. This has been the Redfellas on your Sunday night. We out of here. Take care.